Okay, let's talk about reflexive verbs. Reflexive verbs are the verbs where the person that is doing something is doing it to themselves. What it means is, let's take a verb like lavar. Lavar is to wash. If you want to say, I wash the dishes every day, you're just going to say, yo lavo los platos todos los días. So you are conjugating your verb lavar in the present, but it doesn't need any pronoun because you are not doing anything to you. Now, if I want to say, I wash my hands every day, now you're talking about something that you are doing to yourself. You are going to need the pronoun. Yo me lavo las manos todos los días. A lot of the verbs that have to do with your daily routine are going to be reflexive because you are doing things to you. Like despertarse, levantarse, bañarse, lavarse las manos, cepillarse los dientes, vestirse, maquillarse, afeitarse, acostarse. So you can see that you have your verbs. Normally the infinitive verbs end in AR, ER, IR, like hablar, caminar, comer. These have the same pattern, bañar, but you add the se at the end, bañarse, because you are doing it to yourself. Let's say peinarse. If I'm going to do my friend's hair, it's not going to be reflexive because I'm not doing it to me, I'm doing it to her. But if I'm talking about doing my own hair, then it is reflexive. I did my hair. Me peiné. You are using the pronoun me because you're talking about you. Yo me peiné. Another example, if I was getting a little kid dress, would it be reflexive or not? What do you think? No, because you are doing it to someone else, you are not doing it to yourself. But if I was getting dressed, I'm getting dressed, yo me estoy vistiendo, or me estoy vistiendo. The yo is optional, but the me is not. What are the pronouns? The pronouns are going to change depending on the person that you are talking about. Let's say, I shower every day. Yo me baño todos los días. If I'm talking about you, tú te bañas todos los días. She, ella se baña todos los días. We, nosotros nos bañamos todos los días. They, ellos se bañan todos los días. You and your friends, ustedes se bañan todos los días. So we are conjugating the verbs the same way that we are supposed to do it, but we are adding the pronouns, in this case, before the verbs. If you are talking in the present, like we did in this example, the pronoun is going to be before the verb. If you are talking in the past, it's going to be the same, before the verb. Me bañé a las 6. Me vestí rápido. If I wanted to ask you, ¿te bañaste? If you are talking about someone else. Ella se maquilló. If you have two verbs, the placement is going to be a little bit different. You are going to have now two options. You can place it before both verbs or after both verbs. Let's see an example. When we're talking about the future, the most common way is using voy a, like I'm going to. So I'm going to get a shower. Voy is one verb and bañar is another verb. So now you have two options. You can say me voy a bañar or voy a bañarme. And if you are placing it at the end, then it's going to become just one word, bañarme. Me voy a afeitar, voy a afeitarme. Because I'm talking about me, we're using me. But if I was asking you, are you going to get a shower? It's going to be ¿te vas a bañar? Or ¿vas a bañarte? If you're using quiero, for example, that's one verb, right? I want. So I want to take a shower. You would have two options there too because you have two verbs. Me quiero bañar. Or quiero bañarme. Me quiero acostar. O quiero acostarme. What about if you have no? She doesn't get a shower. Then the no is going to be first. Ella no se baña. Ella se viste bonito. Ella no se viste bonito. When you are doing commands, the pronoun is going to be at the end. We are not going to do too much commands today. But if you want to say, take a shower, is bañate. The pronoun is after the verb. So let's do some exercises. You are going to tell me which pronoun do you need, or maybe if you don't need a pronoun. What about, I'm studying for my exam. Me estoy estudiando, te estoy estudiando, nos estamos estudiando, or you don't need a pronoun. What do you think? You don't need a pronoun because you are not doing anything to yourself. You are studying, but you are not studying yourself, so you don't need it. Estoy estudiando. She put on her shoes. Ella se pone los zapatos. Ella te pone los zapatos. Ella nos pone los zapatos. Or it doesn't need a pronoun. What do you think? Ella se pone los zapatos because she's putting on her shoes. She's doing it to herself. You need the pronoun. So if you want to say, I have to get a shower, tengo que, and then the verb, where would you place the pronoun? Me tengo que bañar, tengo que bañarme, tengo me bañar. Which one is correct? Okay, the first two are correct because you have those two options. Third one, incorrect. I brush my teeth as soon as I wake up. ¿Te cepillas los dientes? Me cepillo los dientes. Te cepillo los dientes. Me cepillo los dientes. I don't do my makeup in the morning. No me maquillo en las mañanas. Me no maquillo en las mañanas. Maquíllome en las mañanas. Which one is correct? We wake up really early. Levantámonos temprano. Nos levantamos temprano. Levantarse temprano. What do you think? Nos levantamos temprano. Are using the present, the pronoun is going to be before the verb. They don't want to get dressed to go out. Quieren no vestirse. No quieren vestirse. No se quieren vestir. Which one is correct? This last practice for you. If I was going to talk about my routine, let's read about my day. Todos los días me levanto a las 6 de la mañana. Me cepillo los dientes y me lavo la cara. Después me baño. Me gusta maquillarme un poquito. Me peino después de maquillarme. Después voy a mi closet y me visto. Voy al gimnasio, voy a trabajar. Those one doesn't need the pronoun because I'm not doing anything to myself. I'm just doing those things. Y en la noche me acuesto a las 11 de la noche. So that is reflexive verbs. Because we have been talking about reflexive verbs, we have been saying that are verbs that the person that is doing the action is doing it to itself, which is true. But it's important for you to know that's not the only reason why we use the reflexive pronoun. Because you are going to encounter other verbs later and you are going to think, well, but I'm not doing anything to myself. And it's true, but it's because there are other verbs that are going to use the reflexive pronoun. Like to have fun is going to be divertirse. To be worried is going to be preocuparse. Because are verbs that something is coming from inside you. Other times it's just because the verb with the pronoun and without the pronoun, there are two different verbs. Like acordar is to agree to something, but acordarse is to remember something. We're not going to get into that in this video, but I just want you to know this because when you see other verbs using the pronoun, you don't get confused about why they are using it. Always remember that the natives do not know any of these rules. We learn by exposure. So that's what you need to be doing. Listen a lot of Spanish. Talk to someone in Spanish. read Spanish. If you have any question, just ask me.